Good morning, everyone. Hopefully, we should be live now. I will just let a few of you come on in and join us. So, I can confirm we are officially live. Thank you for joining me. So, today we are going to go over a few bookkeeping bits. Now, I know a lot of people do their own bookkeeping. And it's really important to sort of stay on top of these things, stay on top of your finances. So we're going to work through it methodically, and we're going to go through each step as we go along. And take it as you go. Take it at your own pace. If you need a little bit more time on one area, we can always come back to it as well. Please don't mind me if I'm coughing. I am a little bit poorly, but I'll put myself on mute and we'll make sure that we get on top of as much of your finances as possible. So just checking in to see who is here. Brilliant. So I just wanted to get everyone together, and basically it's your time now to look through your finances, whether that's business or personal, and to start getting planning, start getting organised, and any jobs that you need to do related to your finances, you're sort of keeping on top of. I think it's really, really easy to sort of just carry on as always and forget about things. But finances should never be one of those things. It should never be sort of left behind. So super, super, super important. So without further ado, I'm not going to strain my voice too much today, but without further ado, what we're going to do is the first bit of time, what I want you to do is I want you to go into your accounting software, your bookkeeping software, whatever it is, and I want you to go and organise it. So I want you to get in there. Are there any bank feeds that need to be updated? Is there anything else that you need to do right now? So first step, we're just going to get on top of stuff. We're going to go into our accounting software. We're going to log in, make sure we actually can access it. And we're going to start there. So I'm just going to give you 5 minutes on this task. But the main thing is getting into your accounting software. So you might use accounting software, but do you also use any kind of OCR system? So do you have anything that captures your receipts? Do you have anything that takes the data from those receipts? If you do, this is your time to log in now and get up to date. So we've gone into our accounting software and we've updated it. So all banks are up to date, and you might just want to hit refresh, make sure everything is up to date. If it's not, if you've got any problems with your accounting software, just put a message in the chat and I'm sure I can help with what your problem is, and we will take it from there. But get everything up to date and in front of you. Another question I would be asking is, do you have a system where it tells you a health score? So for us, our clients are all on a system where we have a very clear health score of how their bookkeeping is doing. So do you have that? Do you understand what your health score is? And do you have a good understanding of where you want to be? So that's really important so that we can plan where you want to go and how we're going to get there. And any problems that you have with your accounting software, just want you to jot them down. Any problems that you have, either put them in the comments and I can help you, or just jot them down so that we know we can come back to that. It's not a big deal. But right now, this is our refresh, we're at the start of the month and we want to get organised. So that was the timer to getting organised. How are we doing? I absolutely love that. Had to reset. Exactly. This is why I'm giving you a bit of time at the beginning. It's just finding your feet. Making sure that you can actually access your accounting software is always a good start. But not just your accounting software. What are you using for your receipt capture? Are you using HubDoc? Are you using Dext? Have you got another type of receipt capture? Maybe it's through QuickBooks. Maybe one of the sort of captures there. Really, really important that you're sort of checking in with that type of thing and keeping up to date. For me, I want all the data as accurate as possible before we start. I want access to everything before we start. There's nothing worse than getting your head stuck into something and then sort of then having to come back out of it, and nothing worse. So let's get to a really good position. I also always want to make sure that we're celebrating as we go along. So how many transactions are in the bank at the moment? So just write it on a little bit of paper or wherever you fancy. What's it looking like? How many items are unreconciled? What position are you in? Do you have people that you need to pay? Is that top of your list? You need to go and have a look at their pay slips and get them paid. Do you have banks that you need to connect? Do you have data that you need to go backwards with? Whatever it is, just really trying to sort of get on top of it now. Now's your time to say, right, I am setting aside this time to put my business first. How many items are in your receipt capture altogether? That's super, super important. Jot that number down. Right, let's open up HubDoc. So we use, for our clients, we use both HubDoc and Dext. There's also new software out there called Apron, which is also really, really good. But again, whatever you're using, it is literally, it's not based on how good the software is always necessarily. It's also about what we're doing with it. You know, how up to date are things? So again, go in, check what's there. Have you submitted things that you haven't pushed through? Is there something that's sat there that you don't know why it's sat there? So how many items have you got in your OCR system? Now, are we all logged in and happy? Everything's there. We've got the numbers jotted down. How important is it to capture all receipts? Really important. Depends on how you want to scale the business. But ultimately, if you are looking to go VAT registered and beyond, which is 90,000, then you need to be saving receipts. Invoices and receipts are like a legal requirement if you're claiming the VAT back, which is why it's really important. So it does depend. It's also really good in general. You should be keeping 6 years plus the current of all receipts and invoices at all, VAT registered or not, for HMRC. So they can technically ask you any details and you should be able to go back and provide them with a receipt or invoice to prove that. So yeah, it is really, really important. And it's just one of those things that people don't sort of prioritize enough. But we definitely should. So hopefully that helps. But yeah, and it's so easy with these softwares and systems nowadays. You can have all sorts of different apps on your phone. You've got email things that literally auto forward. So really, there should be no excuses for these types of things. So yes. Right. So without further ado, everything is up to date. If you've got a health score, then great. If you don't have a health score, that is fine. It's not the end of the world. I just personally like to have statistics on my fingertips. I like to be able to say, right, this is how many items I've got in my receipt capture that I need to get through. This is how many I've got on my bank. So let me find my figures now for that. See, unlike yourselves, I'm not just doing my own. So I obviously have multiple clients that I'm trying to do this with as well. But that should work out quite well for you because hopefully I'm giving you enough time to sort of keep on top. Okay, so one more run through. I just want you to go through and make sure you know exactly how many are unreconciled so far. And if you've got any issues with your bank, just shout. Okay, now you should have all your figures down. If you don't have a health score, have a look if your bookkeeper or accountant provides it to you. And if not, you can always ask for it. Worst case scenario, they'll say we don't use that software. You're not going to have one, and that's fine. But if you do, it's really, really nice because you can go on there and you can have a look and you can say, right, this is the health of my business at the moment. And this is where we want to get to. So if you do have it, jot it down, the percentage of health, and we're going to get that up, okay? We're going to get it up hugely for all of our clients. So let's get started. First off, best place to start is your bookkeeping, your receipt capture tool. So I want you to go through and I want you to start categorizing stuff to where it should be going. So go in there and ask yourself, is this where it should be, right? You might want to be careful of any foreign currencies that are going through. But just in general, ask yourself, is this right? Is it an invoice or is it a receipt? Have you got the date right, the amount? What's the supplier called? Details like that. What are we actually buying here? Excuse me. And do you want it in a waiting payment or waiting approval? A lot of people don't have an approval system and therefore will go straight into a waiting payment, but that is a decision for yourself as well. Has it got VAT on it? Are you VAT registered? Yeah, that's a really good question. If you're not VAT registered, you shouldn't be breaking down that VAT. If you are VAT registered, there should be a breakdown of VAT on here. Is there a code that translates to exactly what you're buying? You know, is it equipment? Have you got an equipment code? Do you particularly want it to go there? Do you want it to be classed as an asset that sits on your balance sheet and shows that the company owns this thing and it's worth something? Now, are there invoices that may have domestic reverse charge on them? Again, this is super, super important to make sure that you're accounting for things correctly. Is it 0% VAT? Is it not? There's all sorts of rules around VAT and you do have to be very, very careful. Are they an Irish company? If they are an Irish company, they are going to have domestic reverse charge, which the VAT is accounted for differently. Now, that's super, super important because if you go putting it through, incorrectly, so with VAT on it or no VAT or anything, and it's actually should be domestic reverse charge VAT, then you're going to have a problem. So that is really important that you're going to get that kind of thing right. Because the problem is, right, even if you make a very small mistake, this flags up on HMRC's system, which then in turn is going to basically mean that it flags to them. Now, the thing about flagging is it's going to tell them something's not right here. Somebody doesn't know what's going on with the VAT. You know, they've coded it incorrectly. And therefore, when something gets flagged, it's going to sort of pull it up on their system, and therefore they're going to potentially investigate and things like that. And we've seen that quite a few times. Luckily, not by anything we've done, but it's just one of those things. People don't realise the implications until you sort of get there. So you just want to check everything's good. You know, you're happy where it's going. Is it 100% for business? That's what you want to ask yourself as well. Have you paid for it personally? If it's going to an asset code, is it 100% the business's asset? And also, do you know what's going on with that? Have you got a bookkeeper who's going to depreciate it for you? Have you got an accountant who will do that? So again, you want to make sure that you know what's going on with that, where it's going to appear. Whenever you put something into your accounting software, I want you to think about where it's going. It's either going to go to your profit and loss as income or expenses, right? Or it's going to go to your balance sheet as like assets, liabilities, things like that. So just think, okay, this is a capital item. You know, this is something I'm spending a lot of money on, a new laptop. It's going to go to my balance sheet. It's going to sit there and it's going to show that my company owns that. So it's a really good way of just sort of getting yourself into thinking about these things. And some things don't always have a breakdown on them, you know. They don't always say when you bought them. They don't always have a proper, clear invoice. So it's really important that you find the invoice if you can, and really, really search for them. Sometimes you get a receipt and an invoice. We see that a lot. It's just about categorizing it correctly and making sure that there's no duplicates if you can help it. Because receipts and invoices sometimes have completely different numbers as well. And again, it can very easily get mistaken and go through as the wrong thing. So, how are you doing? Are you going through your stuff and really trying to categorize everything now as best you can? How's it all looking? You want to be looking at the images and saying to yourself, right, what's going on? VAT, is this an invoice? Is everything looking correct? Is it going to the right code? You might want to do certain suppliers in one go. So you might choose to do a particular supplier all in one go. So just going through, try and have a look at what you've got and are you happy with everything there? When you're happy, you can just publish it. You can push it through into your accounting software. Some of them could be statements, which you need to be very careful of, because it's not always an invoice that you're looking at. And if you are claiming back the VAT, again, you want to be really, really careful. Are you happy with everything? Are there delivery charges that maybe don't have VAT on them? sometimes the supplier is not always very clear on the invoice. Is it an invoice? Sometimes it's not. And just ask yourself with everything, what is this? And am I happy with where it's going? You know, is it an advertising expense? Is it more marketing? Is it, you know, whatever it is, whatever type of expense it is, just really question it. Does it make sense? So really, we don't want statements of account. We want to be getting rid of those. And just archive anything that you're not happy with, anything that doesn't make sense. Are they just confirmations? Whatever it is, just get rid of them. If it's not an actual receipt, we don't need it. Just going through those last few. Make sure you're happy with everything. It's going to the right code. Looks good. Because then we need to get onto the part where, have we paid these people? Has everyone been paid for what they need to be? Do we need to go through on our Xero or on our QuickBooks? Do we need to go through the list of who do we need to pay? Have we paid for something personally that we need to mark that we've paid for it personally? So again, really important. Is the invoice number correct? VAT. And if so, you can just go ahead and hit publish. Publish each thing through into your accounting software. Get as up to date as we possibly can. Might be an item in review. Please resolve any issues. What could they be? Okay, so we have year-end lock dates on. So this one happens to be something that has fallen outside of a lock date. Now, lock dates happen so that my team can go in and do accounts without me messing up their data. That's really important. So there's nothing worse than sort of amending somebody else's figures whilst they're in the middle of a VAT return or, you know, or year-end accounts. So that's why we do that. Let's have a look. Okay, now let's have a look what we've got left. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go into our Xero when it loads. and we are going to start to reconcile things. So first off, let's start. And what we're going to do is we're going to remember we've got this percentage, we've got these items that we need to clear down, and we want to get as far as possible. Now, there's all sorts of things we can do. If you have Dext, we can order our matches first and make sure that we can get through everything. But as we go through the bank, we want to see what is available, what can we clear down. So this is your time now to say to yourself, right, is there anything I can clear down, anything I can organise? Are there any bank rules that you can set up? So bank rules are fantastic. So we can always create more rules. And you might want to add a description if you want to allocate certain things. Set references up. You might just want to do it against a certain bank or multiple. And then you're going to want to go back into it and see what you can code. So mine's just taking its time, it's just loading. It's really taking its time. to exit that, come back into it. Find that sometimes I'm working a bit too fast for the computer. Okay, so now we can go back in when it lets us, and we can code anything, and anything that we've set up new rules for should be showing now. Fantastic. Right, what are your banks looking like? Is everything up to date and reconciled? Is it showing that you have bills that you need to pay? What's the status of it? Are there any more bank rules that you can create? Remember with bank rules, okay, so we've got lock dates on. That makes sense. So you won't be able to push anything through if you've got lock dates on. You might be thinking, I'm not an accountant, what are lock dates? Why does it matter? But lock dates are really important to make sure the data is not tweaked with in a previous period. Okay. So next, what I want you to do is I want you to go through everyone that owes you money. So I want you to go through, if you're on zero, it will be through your invoices and your bills. And I want you to make sure that nobody owes you money. Is there anything that you need to communicate with your accountant or your bookkeeper? Do you need to tell your bookkeeper that, things have been paid personally, things like that? So I just want you to go through and really just ask yourself, is this correct? Do I owe people money? Etc. Okay, so how was your bank looking? Have you got to the part where things are looking clear? Have you got the last little stragglers? You don't know where they get coded to or anything like that? Please do comment, and I will hopefully be able to help you get those last ones through and sorted. Right, we can take it one step further. Now, looking at your bank, is there anything that you need to do? So, do you need to set up a tax pot? Have you already got tax pots set up? And can you move any money into those tax pots to start preparing for taxes? So, you might want to move aside the PAYE money that you know you need to hand across for your payroll, but also the same for corporation tax and all sorts of other taxes. So have a look, go onto your government gateway. I know you've probably never been on your government gateway, or if you have, you might have forgotten the passwords and but have a look, go onto your government gateway, see if you can access it, and let me know if you have any problems, and we'll go from there. Right, we're going to have a last little clear up. Right, you've got 3 minutes to just really try and crack down anything that doesn't look right. I want you to investigate. Are there any other accounts on here that may act like bank accounts? So whether you've got Stripe or Go Cardless or anything like that, you want it set up so that it's acting like a bank account. Okay, and when you've had a really good run through of that, and now I want you to go and check your stats. So go and have a look. How well did you do? And let me know, have you got a little bit of work to do? Do you have stuff that you need to do personally? Move around some money? Whatever it is, I just want you to have a look into it and see what can you do to stay on top of this. Is there something that you need to put in your diary every week? Are there some things that you need to do now? You need to spend that time and actually set it up so that going forward it's ready for you. So, what has this taught you? Is there anything that you've realised and you think, wow, I've noticed that my bank is always like this, or I've noticed, I need to keep on top of reconciling, or whatever it is. What has it taught you? And what are you putting in place so that this is smooth and beautiful next time? Do you want to get into better habits with your receipts? What do you want to do? What's the intention that you're going to set for yourself? And thank you for joining me today. I've really, really enjoyed this time sat sort of sorting through bookkeeping and making sure that everyone is up together. I hope that you've really benefited from it, and please do let me know. Let me know if you're watching it on demand as well, and yeah, let me know if you have any questions. Thanks for joining me.